Hello and welcome to Newsroom series, where we keep you updated on news from the different geopolitical zones of the country. Thank you for joining us. I'm Olumide Macaulay. Now, our focus today is the South-South region. However, we'll begin with our top stories. Nigeria Labour Congress President Joe Ajaero has returned to Labour House after being questioned by police over alleged charges including criminal conspiracy, terrorism, financing, cybercrime, and treasonable felony. Mr. Ajaero's lead council representative says the NLC president was only questioned about the activities of another tenant in the Labour House building, not the alleged charges. When asked if he will press charges over the allegations, Mr. Ajaero says that will be decided pending the outcome of future events. Labour leaders and activists have reacted with caution and called for justice over the development. In its efforts to restore livelihood to internally displaced persons as well as contributing to food security, the federal government has launched the Renewed Hope Agricultural Empowerment Project for internally displaced persons in Plateau State. The project is to empower internally displaced persons with provisions of farming tools, knowledge, and resources required to engage in sustainable agricultural practices alongside provision of seedlings and security at farm settlements.
You know, over the years...
This visit to Kwal District, Basa Local Government Area, Plateau State, marks the launch of the Renewed Hope Agricultural Project for IDPs, powered by the National Commission for Refugees, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture.
I can see the man that makes...
Over 300 IDPs receive agricultural equipment, materials, and financial support for self-sufficiency.
This project aligns with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda, which aims to empower IDPs through sustainable agricultural practices. This initiative will enhance food security and economic stability, ensuring that IDPs participate in farm production for both subsistence and income generation.
Displaced persons are encouraged to embrace the initiative and take full advantage of the project for sustainable development and wealth creation.
Under this partnership, the Commission is responsible for the leadership and overall coordination of the project. It is also responsible for the selection and profiling of IDPs and provision of cash grants.
The traditional rulers pledge their support for the initiative with a promise to monitor the beneficiaries, just as they appeals to the government to sustain the project with proper funding without default.
All of you are within my reach, and I will mobilize not just the Plateau State Council of Chiefs and Elders. We have our links all over Nigeria.
As peace returns to Plateau, beneficiaries are optimistic that the initiative will no doubt enhance food security and economic stability for internally displaced persons.
The Kwara State government has trained another set of 65 agric enumerators in its quest to ensure food security. The one-week training held at the National Center for Agricultural Mechanization in Kwara State was aimed at gathering adequate agricultural data and information.
It's been a week of intensive training of agriculture enumerators in Kwara State, north-central Nigeria. The state government believes data gathered by the enumerators will help guide the government's agricultural policy formulation and implementation. Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak is represented at the closing ceremony by his special advisor on special duties, Abdulrazak Jida, who urges the trainees not to tamper with the data so there can be accurate planning and policy implementation at the state government level.
Please, the data is very, very important. Don't go back to the site or the field and you discover that you are from one particular area and you are tampering with the data. It will not lead us to anything.
This training and the enumeration we are going to do, I think we will be on a better leverage to plan properly for our state, especially as regards nutrition and food security.
For the managing director of the Lower Niger River Basin Authority, food security cannot be achieved in the country without accurate data, and thanks the state government for the training of the enumerators.
We desire food security in Kwara State and in Nigeria in general, but we cannot achieve that without training enumerators who are going to overlook and even enumerate essential needs. That we first do assessment. Before, for any needs, there must be assessment.
The trainees are full of gratitude to the state government, promising that the knowledge will be put to good use.
And we want to assure you that when we get to the field, we will get a quality data that will be analyzed and come out with a very good planning for food security.
Kwara State has so far trained over 100 extension workers in livestock management in the last 1 month.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Wike, has urged local manufacturers to engage in the production of high-quality products to drive more investments in the country. He was speaking during an inspection tour of a private company at the industrial park in the Idu area of Abuja. Mr. Wike, while citing electricity as a major driver of business, pledged his administration's commitment to address challenges that impede their operations in the FCT, stating that the success of their business improves the nation's economy.
What kills most businesses is because you have no stability of power, and that drives people. When you look at manufacturers, when they have no stability of power, the high cost of diesel to run their generators killed most of the businesses. But now you are sure that the power is there, which means their business will go on. What every government is interested is, first of all, creating employment. If you can create of not less than 40,000 jobs, you know what it means. It reduces the burden. It reduces the rate of unemployment. Two, it will grow the economy. For me, it's not everything you talk about export. What is important is first, create a job. When one job is created and production is made, and it's a good quality production, people will buy. Outsiders will also buy. So it's nothing to do with how do you tell Nigerians to buy made in Nigeria. I will not say that if your quality is not good, you should go and buy. For us, it is the quality, and we thank God that we have some companies who are committed to making sure that they produce in Nigeria.
The Benue State government has tasked education stakeholders, traditional and religious institutions on the need to mobilize Benue children to enroll for free basic education beginning from nursery classes, known as the Early Child Care Development Education, to Junior Secondary School Class 3. Now, the Commissioner for Education and Knowledge Management, Dr. Frederick Ikian, made the call at a meeting with the Ochidoma and his council members during an expanded enrollment drive awareness campaign in Benue South Senatorial District, known as Zone C. Now to Nasarawa State. The state government has assured continuous support for medium, small, and micro enterprises in the state with the aim of improving the economy. The assurance was given by the Managing Director of the Nasarawa Investment and Development Agency, Mr. Ibrahim Abdullahi, during a session on access to credit organized by MSMEs in Lafia by the agency. Our correspondent Halima Gayam has a report.
Owners of medium, small and micro enterprises in Nasarawa State assembled in Lafia, the state capital, to participate in this session tagged Access to Credit, organized by the Nasarawa State government in collaboration with business-related ministries, departments and agencies of the state. The session is also in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria and other local development and financial institutions, with a focus on guiding and helping MSMEs gain the required information on available credit facilities.
A lot of people have been applying, and when you check out the number of beneficiaries, it's nothing to write home about, despite the fact that they are meeting, if not 100% of the requirements.
The representative from SMIDAN responds, advising MSMEs to also consider grants applications rather than loans.
For most SMEs we have interacted with, they need grants, they don't need loan. That's why they enter troubles. They don't find a way of paying back easily. Some people's assets were seized from them.
The managing director of the Nasarawa Investment and Development Agency assures of continuous support for MSMEs in the state.
You are at the very heart of the state's economy. You occupy a very special place in Nasarawa state, and government is committed to ensuring that your businesses thrive.
At the end of the session, financial partners commit to establishing platforms to guide MSMEs through the process of accessing credit. The Nasarawa state government also reiterates its commitment to providing an enabling environment for MSMEs to thrive. Halima Agayam, Channels Television News.
Welcome back. You're watching Newsroom series on Channels Television, and our focus is the north central region of the country. Now, joining us from Lafia, the Nasarawa state capital, is the governor of Nasarawa state, Governor Abdullahi Sule. Your Excellency, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
We know how important medium, small, and micro enterprises can be to any economy if given the needed support. In Nasarawa state, we just saw a report of what your administration is doing to give that support. Could you tell us some more of what's happening in this way?
Well, thank you very much. I think we're having some network challenges, but I hope you can hear me clearly. First and foremost, Nasarawa state has been known as a state that is mainly for agriculture. It's a state of agribusiness. And so as a government, we have concentrated more on agriculture. Of course, we are also known as state of solid minerals, but agriculture has been the main source of income and main source of living for the people of Nasarawa state. So no wonder the administration has continued to focus more and more on that. Just yesterday, as a matter of fact, I received the country director of the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD. So they were here in Nasarawa state, and I think they still are, going around with the people from Ministry of Agriculture, Federal Ministry of Agriculture, and also people who are driving, the value chain development project. So we continue to promote small-scale agriculture because that is where majority of our people earn their own source of living. So the report you have seen is where we are promoting that aspect through the project of Akresal, as well as the project of NG Cares. Because in the NG Cares program, which is being driven also by the World Bank, we have huge concentration on small-scale agriculture. So we provide them with the input, provide them with the various other aspects that they require, including tractors that we have bought for them recently, sometimes even with land in order for them to develop agriculture. But the most important part that has worked for us in Nasarawa State is the aspect of security. So we have been able to provide sufficient security to our people, and there is more unity, more peaceful coexistence between the communities, and more peaceful coexistence between the farmers and the herders. And so I hear good news every day as far as what is going to happen in agriculture in Nasarawa State.
So, Your Excellency, agriculture, you've spoken about MSMEs and security. How about foreign direct investment? We know how important it is for governors that can attract that sort of support from outside the country financially. Speak to us about these recent business visits to China and India contributing to Nasarawa State's economic growth.
Okay, I'm having lots of challenges hearing you. As I said, I know we have network challenges, but I heard when you say foreign direct investment, I think that's the only thing I heard. However, we do have, as I mentioned earlier on, we do have other areas of commercial agriculture. From what I believe you know, that flour mills of Nigeria is in Nasarawa State, Azman is in Nasarawa State, and then, of course, the biggest of them all, the Dangote Industries, is in Nasarawa State. When you talk about this foreign direct investment, from my experience as a group managing director in Dangote Sugar, it depends on what somebody means by foreign direct investment. In agriculture, nobody is going to give any foreign direct investment more than the Nigerians themselves. If we really want to develop this investment, long-term return on investment that we have, it is not something that you can invest your money today and be able to see the results tomorrow. So talking about the FDI, of course, Olam is present in Nasarawa State, and that is where they have their biggest investment when it comes to agriculture, because that's where they are producing all the rice. But truly speaking, we are focusing more on local investment, whether they are commercial or they are local, they are commercial or they are small-scale farmers. We are looking more and more into local. That's why I mentioned to you that Dangote is here, Flour Mills is here, Azman is here, Saro Africa is also here. Those are the big agricultural developments that we have, in addition to all the other foreign farmers that we have. But in reality, we also, as far as we are concerned as a government in Nasarawa State, we are also developing 10,000 hectares of land to do rice, sesame, also in the state. So agriculture is not something, it's not like a stock exchange, that people will just bring their money from hedge funds and then invest in FDI and then take their money in the next day. So if we are serious about agriculture, we have to look inwards, not foreign direct investment.
Oh, we do apologize. We can hear you loud and clear. I hope you can hear my next question as we tried to speak to you earlier. Specifically, I was talking about the recent trips to China and India that was undertaken concerning developing Nasarawa State.
Okay, now I heard you clearly. Well, the trips exactly to India is not necessarily on foreign direct investment. What happened is that we have a lot of tractors all over the country. One of the biggest producers of tractors worldwide is a company called Mahindra. Mahindra can compete comfortably, with some of the biggest manufacturers that you can think of, John Deere and the rest of them worldwide. So what we did, we went to India. We came across this company. I told them they were interested in talking about having an assembly plan. I told them that's not what we are looking for, because assembly plan, what they refer to it in Nigeria is simply SKD. The tractor already assembled in India or whatever country where they are. They just remove the tires, remove the roof, bring them to Nigeria and assemble them together. That's really not an assembly plan, and that's not what Nasarawa State is interested. What I told them is we are interested in making sure that we manufacture some of the smaller parts that we believe we can. Some of the shafts, some of the bolts, some of the nuts, and those kind of things that we can do that we can assemble. And then we do the repairs. So what we ended up achieving from India is for them to be able to have, high-class technology workshops, where some of these simple parts will be manufactured here in Nasarawa State. And then at the end of that, we will go ahead, and repair some of the abandoned tractors that we have all across the country. Nigeria has hundreds of thousands of tractors, that some of them require very, very simple items, and they are just abandoned, because of that. So we are thinking of reviving some of those tractors. That was what the trip to India was all about, and we have been able to sign that. The trip to China is completely different. The trip to China is about the greenhouse that Mr. President wants to establish. And we have given the 5,000 hectares of land, at the border of Nasarawa and Abuja, and that is where the greenhouse will do. So we look at some of the industries, such as CATL, that is the biggest producer of batteries for electric cars and other things. They are the ones who come and open up more or less like an industrial zone, purely for greenhouse. So that's what the trip to China was all about.
Speaking of agriculture and keeping in mind the recent flooding that has happened across the country and that specifically affected your state, principally last year, what measures are your administration taking to help mitigate the flooding as it affects rice farmland, for instance, in Nasarawa State?
Okay. Now, on this last one, I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry. Can you repeat it? Sorry.
Yes, let me repeat it. Flooding has been a problem in many parts of the country. What is your administration doing to mitigate that effect?
Oh, the eating of flooding. Okay,
yes.
Thank you very much. And let me at this moment, show great appreciation to the federal government, Mr. President, for the amount of money they sent to all of us, to mitigate a flooding that has just taken place, because Nasarawa is one of the flooding prone areas. So we did receive our 3 billion, just like every other state has received, and we are grateful to Mr. President. And when we receive, I actually invited the ESCO and all the stakeholders and explained to them, this is what we receive, and we want to be accountable for that amount of money. And we are working on that. But the question you asked, we are looking at mitigating this flooding rather than it to go back to the roots of the problems. The roots of the problem in Nasarawa State has been non-provision of enough waterways in order for the rains actually to flow. That's part of the biggest problems that we have always had. So now we are looking at opening of some of those places, and we are doing it not necessarily just with the money from the federal government. We are also doing it with the money from ECRESAL and NG Cares that we receive from the World Bank, because we have to open up some of these channels in order to reduce the flooding. That is why we have been providing the awareness, we have been moving people away from the flooding prone areas, because a lot of people live in the low level areas where it's prone to flooding. So we move them to certain locations and say, you have to move away from there, and then we can actually rebuild your homes and things like that in those kind of areas. So we're approaching this aspect of flooding not necessarily by, repairing the houses that have been flooded and doing other things. No, we're looking at the root and causes of the flooding, as it affects our own areas, and approaching it from that angle. That's how we are handling it in Nasarawa State.
For youth development, as far as job creation is concerned, what schemes are your administration rolling out to help make sure that more people, when they come out of school, find jobs, and more people are productively engaged in the formal and informal sector?
On that one, it goes back more or less to education. That one is on arrival. In 2019, on arrival as a governor, I started by saying that we need to have education and we need to have skill. A lot of people who have certificates have no skills, find it very difficult to get a job. And I kept telling most of the good people of Nasarawa State that we need to go beyond just government jobs. You can actually be self-employed if you have the skill. So for us in Nasarawa State, we start by providing the technical and vocational education after establishing the technical institute that we do have. And they give people the proper training and work with the Bank of Industry to provide working capital for people to go from that direction. Employment-wise, we look at where we need employment the most, especially in our schools. Most of the teachers, since I came, teachers alone, we have employed over 8,000 teachers, just trying to provide employment of the youth, which is really not at the end of the day, because we have thousands and thousands of unemployed youth. So that is not going to go a very long way. So, but what we do is to try and see how people can be independent. The industrialization we have been working on by creating into the areas of mining and agriculture is all aimed at employing, a lot of our own youth, especially, and also reducing the unemployment that we have in the state. So we approach it from all the angles, from providing education and then empowering people with the proper working capital to start their own businesses. We also go into the aspect of actually employing people, in the various places where we need to employ those that require to be employed. And then finally, by creating industries, and other places of work so that they can also help to employ. So those are the three major areas that we look at.
Thank you so much for coming on Newsroom Series. Mr. Governor, we do appreciate the work that you're doing and the way you've communicated some of these developments to us on the program. His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, Mr. Abdullahi Sule. Many thanks.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry about the network. It's just that we have some network issues sometimes here. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Governor. And that's where we leave it on Newsroom Series today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Olumide Macaulay.